Wow, what a game. Vandy gets that signature win over Texas A&M. Are they headed dancing? I think so. Keep it live.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, welcome in. Happy Wednesday night. I'm sure everyone's doing the celebration dance around Vandy Nation. I'm live. This is the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making us your first listen. Each and every day, we're free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So what an absolute win over Texas A&M. That's that signature road win that we've been looking for this entire time. It's that signature road win that should have happened at Tennessee, but didn't. And that's okay. It's a learning experience, right? This team had to learn each other. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to break down everything that happened in that win. It was probably one of the most complete games that I've seen Vandy play in quite some time, as far as the ebbs and the flows. I mean, that's kind of how college basketball works. There's ebbs, there's flows, all that good stuff. And also some good news in football that I'm going to get to before I jump out of here. Bryce Henderson, he committed. What does that do to the offensive line room? How does this affect the offensive line room? What does he bring? And how does it affect the depth chart? All that good stuff. So I'll talk about that a little bit too. But most of the focus is going to be on this basketball game because this is an absolute insane win. And I think this is going to cap off what is an insane run for Vandy basketball, because Mark Byington is what he's been able to pull off this season. This team, I say this every time I talk about anything good that happens, or actually really anything that happens. You can strike it up as either, wow, this team just met in June, I can't believe they're pulling this off, or, hey, this team just met in June, there's going to be some kinks and there's going to be some things they had to work out. It's been the back and forth of those two concepts all season long. All the mistakes are just lack of time playing together. A lot of the wins is like very accelerated. This is a talented group of basketball players that had to learn how to play with each other and learned how to coexist on the court. I think Mark Byington also had a hard time, throughout the course of the season. Sometimes I think with his substitution patterns, guys get in foul trouble, all of that stuff. I think there's a whole learning curve there with all of this, especially when you have a new roster. There was nothing to establish that on. A lot of times when you get a coaching change, like, there is a core of guys that you can say, okay, well, I can watch film, watch those guys play, and build around that. Coach Byington had none of that. And so this is what's making it even more impressive. And the whole talk, and feel free to jump in on the comments. We are live, actually, so you can leave some comments and you can participate in the show. But like, there was times where, I'm looking at this roster and you're just like, okay, they would get in foul trouble, and it's like, okay, where's the depth? Early in the season, they were a very poor shooting team. Like, from three-point land, it was almost guaranteed that they weren't going to make threes. It was going to be a rough night shooting, all that stuff, right? It's amazing to me that they're able to overcome some of that stuff, and it's amazing to me that they're able to, you can tell that they've been working on that, and they've been playing to their identity more and more and more. And the mindset, honestly, has gotten a lot better. The panic over the last two games, the second half, like, okay, the ball's starting to roll towards the other, the momentum is starting to roll towards the other team. And the panic that goes along with that sometimes when you have a team that's not necessarily inexperienced, but inexperienced playing as a group, you start to get a lot of, like, they force bad shots. They don't quite trust, one another. They try to take the game in their own hands. And when you start to see that, that's when trouble strikes. That's when the turnovers happen, the bad shots, just the head scratching moments that you see. And then, of course, the foul trouble doesn't help that, because you get a little bit antsy, especially when you lose your two big guys. I think that was against Tennessee. They lost both Jalen Carey and Devin McLaughlin to foul trouble. So that's something that, that's something that, again, that was just terrible luck. But I mean, they played extremely well in the first half of that game, and they just kind of lost it. Tonight, that didn't happen. They kept coming at A&M. They kept playing their game, all right, and they didn't let A&M dictate the tempo of the game. It was back and forth. They took every punch, they took every haymaker, and A&M usually delivers those and usually wins when they start delivering those haymakers. And Vandy just stood right in there, took those punches, and kept on going. And that's the mark of a team that's A, well coached, B, extremely resilient and has a great team culture, and C, I don't know that I want to play against Vanderbilt in a tournament setting because they're getting better each and every game. So, Adam Perry, man, I bet Byington is telling freshman Tanner, just take it to the hoop in the last seconds. Yeah, absolutely. Attack the rim, attack the rim, attack the rim. That is what that's Vandy's identity. Attack the freaking rim. Okay, that's what you got to do. That's how you got to roll. So, very impressive win nonetheless. And just breaking that thing down was, you just those last 5.5 seconds was, I mean, you had to have felt like that was just kind of brutal. And it was one of those things. It's just, you're really not going to get through it. It's like, oh God, are we going to actually, what's going to happen here? Are they going to, they got to within 2 with 5.5. And I'm like, oh no, this is not going to, but it's one of those games that had you on the edge of your seat. And, just boom, 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 back and forth. But the fouls, here's the thing with the fouls. I felt like it was very lopsided. And I'm not usually one to complain about the refs, but honestly, the refs have been pretty bad consistently throughout the games. And some of those fouls just weren't fouls. So that's concerning. I don't like that Vandy, and I don't know if it's like a ref thing or like the game gets tight and all of a sudden, they're blowing every play dead with fouls and, they're calling ticky-tack stuff, or Vandy is just a team that's going to foul you. And it's concerning that they get into foul trouble so much. And, Jason Edwards had to miss a large chunk of the game because he got a foul and then turned around and got a technical foul, which netted him 4 fouls, and he was 1 away from fouling out. And this was like, I can't remember exactly what the game clock was on that at that juncture, but it was something to where you were going to be concerned with how he was going to be able to finish the game. And that poor guy gets ragdolled. And there's some moments where he just gets ragdolled, and I am surprised they don't call foul. I really am. And it's like, what are we doing here with these refs? And it's concerning. So that's one thing I would say coming into the next games and going into tournament play and postseason play and all that stuff. It's just, if you want to survive, you have to stay out of foul trouble. And that's just all there is to it. Also, I want to give a big shout out to this. JQ Roberts. You huge, right? There's a ton of credit. He came in. I hadn't really seen him much throughout the course of the season, but he played huge in the paint, very good defense, big time rebounds, got to the rim, just played out of his mind, right? But defense and good ball movement, good shot selection, attacking the rim, doing what Vandy does the best. They did it against A&M. They caused turnovers. They attacked the rim. That's just how they did it. And it was a thing of beauty. Like JQ Roberts. Like, if you would have told me that JQ Roberts that Vandy was going to win on the road and JQ Roberts was going to be a huge contributor in that game, I would have told you you're nuts. I would have said, dude, you are insane. Such is life, right? So it's a huge win, man. Huge win. Nickel played really well. Grant Huffman played really well. Jalen Carey had a few big dunks, kind of kind of chipped away at them and trying to, and I think honestly, they were able to get A&M off kilter. I think that's one of the biggest parts of it, the mental aspect of it that people often overlook. They were able to get A&M out of their mind. And the psychology in basketball is so big. Like, that's why teams were able to get under Vandy's skin in second half. The second half collapse thing was a real thing, and that was in the back of every Vandy player's minds, right? It's not anymore. But they were able to finally deliver the psychological warfare against A&M, and they were able to get A&M off kilter and playing out of character and doing things that they don't normally do. So it is, it's nice to finally see that shoe on the other foot, right? And being able to be on the other end of, okay, now the other team can't handle how we're playing basketball, which is usually the other way around. It's, hey, we usually come out strong, and then the other team just keeps playing their game. And for some reason, when a team doesn't break, when other teams usually break, like A&M, like they do what they kept doing, what they always do. And most of the time, given their record, given their ranking, most of the time, the other team will break and A&M will blow the game wide open. That's usually what happens. It happened just about in every win they had. They wear you down. They body blow, jabs, set up punches, and all of a sudden, boom, they land a flurry of haymakers. The next thing you know, this game is, it's 15-point margin, just like that. And A&M banks on that. And when the other team doesn't break, they get flustered. And, I think Vandy was experiencing that a little bit. And the more I think about it, I think that's kind of what it was. Vandy would deliver, like against Tennessee, Vandy delivered their best shots. Tennessee didn't break and they panicked, and Tennessee won the game. Same with the Florida game, same with Kentucky, same with a lot of these second half collapse losses. They would deliver the punches, they would deliver their best shots, and then freak out when the other team didn't break. Vandy was on the other end of that finally. And so that's what's going on here. And I'll answer this here in just a second. The AD and Chancellor should have been waiting to meet the team's plane when it lands with a very attractive contract extension. The rest were completely biased towards A&M. And, Charles, given the way that was called, it sure as heck looked that way. But there is a thing called, like, they're afraid to make too many calls against the away team or for the away team. And, you have a little bit of incompetency as well. Like, I don't know that they're biased. I just don't think they're very good. I just don't think they know what a foul looks like. And I think, being humans, they're scared of a hostile home crowd. And that could be it. I don't know that they're on the take or anything. It'd be surprising if they're on the take. I just think they're incompetent and afraid. So, we're gonna continue on with this game. Thanks for the comments, guys, and keep this up. Let's again, we're live. Tell a friend, bring a friend in here, and let's get after this thing. But we're gonna continue talking about this game, and we'll dive into a little bit of football before we get out of here as well. We'll do all of that next, so stick around. I want to take a second to talk to you about Roy. The future of college sports is here, and it's transparent. Before the Roy app, NIL negotiations often happened under the table, and fans didn't have a clear way to directly support the athletes they love. Now with Roy, you get to be a part of the change and support Vandy athletes in the most transparent way possible. This is a perfect ad for this episode. Roy, the NIL app, allows you to choose the player you want to support, decide how much you want to contribute, and receive exclusive content from the athletes you back. And the best part is, if your player transfers, you get your money back. It's a risk-free way to show your support. The Roy app gives fans control. No more uncertainty. Now you can provide transparent, impactful support and help shape the team and the future of college sports with your contributions. Download the Roy app now from the App Store and start backing Vandy athletes the way they deserve, with transparency, trust, and real impact. This is the future of college sports. Join it now by downloading Roy and supporting your favorite players. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen. Like I said, we are live. We're celebrating this big road win. Do they punch their ticket? Are they in? Is Vandy in the dance? All right. If you need a second listen when this is over, go check out Locked On SEC. Go check out my man. Also, if you want some more in-depth, detailed commentary and perspectives, Locked On Ole Miss was my man Stephen Willis is the way to go. Locked On Bulldogs with Clint Shamblin. That's not a bad place to go as well. So if you need something, go there and go or just check out the entire network of SEC shows. So huge win. 86-84 was your final. Vandy was absolutely brilliant in this contest, and it was it was, like I said, it was the most complete game that Vandy's had, and it's amazing to see kind of how they were able to get into this game and to really kind of take control of what's happening. So I'm very excited. Tyler Nickel, hell of a game. He was the leading scorer with 21 points. He actually did not shoot a single free throw, which is odd. And so this is something that I don't know if he's ever been the leading scorer, but now he is. He is tonight. And Tyler Nickel he's been a great leader for this team, and he's been he's been somebody that you see. He was the first person you saw walk over to Jason Edwards and be like, "Yo, dog, it's okay, man. We got your back. Just calm down. Don't do anything. Don't do anything stupid. You've already got a tech. Don't get thrown out of here. Just go chill." And he was the first guy over there to make sure that was happening. So very excited about the direction that he's going. Very excited, like I said, about the direction of this program. So again, can't go wrong in anything. So did they make the dance? That's the golden question. Did they punch their ticket to the dance? And Joe Lunardi hinted that this would all but officially punch their ticket. They get the signature top 10 road win, or top 15 road win, I should say. It would be a fourth quad one win. It's just hard to deny Vandy's it's hard to deny their resume at this point. They're going to get a pretty good seed here, 8 or 9 seed now versus what would have been probably an 11 seed. But we moved up 4 places in Ken Palm to 40th after this game. A&M dropped from 20 to 21. So this is exactly what we're looking for, and I'm very, like I said, very, very excited about what's happening. As you can tell, this game is still very, very fresh. And so it's going to be interesting to kind of see how everything else plays out as far as the bubble goes and as far as teams. And I don't know if like this opens the door for other teams that were on the bubble, but I think it's definitely improved our ranking. I think it's definitely improved what's going on. But here's the official tale of the tape for the two teams. A&M, again, your final was 86-84. That was a freaking nail biter down the stretch. Tyler Nickel was your leading scorer. Payne was your leading scorer for A&M at 23 points. Field goals, 37%, which is usually not great. 31.8%. Not phenomenal, not bad. Just like you would think with this win and 86 points, those numbers would be higher. But 80% from the line. They dominated in the paint. They were able to cause. Actually, no, that was 41% for Vandy. I was getting my numbers backwards. A little dyslexic moment there for me. 41% from the field, 41% from 3-point. That is actually really good. You shoot 41% from 3-point land. Yeah, that's going to get it for you. 77% from the line, 36 rebounds. They were able to cause. They were able to get 12 points off of turnovers. They had 24 points in the paint. They fouled. It was 28-24, so it wasn't as lopsided on fouls as you may think. It seemed like it, but not really as you think. So these stats are pretty good. The 3-point shooting stats is what really made the difference in this game. They were able to trade baskets. They were able to go back and forth. So very, very great game there for that. So Let me know in the chat. Where do you predict? What seed do you predict Vandy's going to get? I was thinking before this game, I was thinking, okay, you're going to beat Georgia or Arkansas down the stretch. You're going to, you may win one in the SEC tournament, but you've got to get at least 2 more wins to kind of get in, to stay on the right side of the bubble. And you're thinking 11 seed probably would have been about where I guessed. You have an 11 seed with a favorable matchup, and it's I think you're looking at a 9 seed, and if you win another game, you make a run in the tournament, SEC tournament, you could be like a 7 or 8 seed before it's all said and done. So I'm thinking somewhere in the 8, 9, 10 range. 10 being the absolute worst. If they don't win another game, they probably go in as a 10 seed and get a favorable matchup, I think, given the benefit of the doubt. So tell me what you think. What do you think the perfect seeding is for that? Where do you think this shakes out? And Justin, yes, big time anchor down. This team, phenomenal. I don't know how many of you thought that Mark, when they hired Mark Byington, I was like, he's a really good coach. He's a really good builder. He can take a program and turn it around pretty quickly. And I was thinking, the main thing that was going through my mind was, this team's not in a position to go get a big time guy because it's just such a mess right now, coming off of Bryce Drew and then Jerry Stackhouse. And it just kind of toppled to an unrecognizable mess. And I'm like, okay, this is going to take a lot of work to get this program back. And I don't think anyone would have guessed that Vandy would be in this position. I would have been stoked to have been in the conversation. That's kind of where my expectation was. We're going to win enough games to be in the conversation, to be pesky, to be whatever. It was going to take in my mind, it was going to take a season to kind of get used to new things. I was going to say my thought was we're going to be a tough out. We're going to be well coached. This is going to be a highly motivated team. But it's just going to be kind of we're going to be right on the cusp, but not quite there. Now, Coach Mark Byington should be National Coach of the Year for what he's done. I want to reiterate, they just met in June as a team. They just started playing together. It hadn't been long. And they're in this position. This is amazing, right? Yep, go Vandy. Justin, I think it's going to be a 9 seed with one more league and one tournament win, 10 seed with only a tournament win. Yeah, I think a 9 seed's about right. I think you get I think if you get 2 more wins of any kind, I think a 9 seed is there. I think if you get 2 league wins and a tournament win, I think an 8 seed is right there for the taking. And of course, anything better than that, you go up from there. But I'm thinking 9 seed is probably about right. You beat Georgia. You likely beat in the first round games. You likely beat, you probably get matched up with like South Carolina or somebody like that, and you beat them again and improve your seeding. So, I like that. But Mark Byington should be National Coach of the Year. I'm just going to go out there and say that he should be National Coach of the Year. So, wrapping up this thing because I'm gonna talk about this offensive line commit that we got. I want to address that because I think that's a pretty big deal for Clark Lee. But 86-84, huge, monumental signature road win. Second half road woes, hopefully now are a thing of the past. Something that we can laugh at and go, oh, remember those days, right? So we'll talk about we'll switch gears here just a minute before we get out of here, and we'll talk a little transfer portal stuff. All right, stay tuned. All right, life moves at you fast, especially when you have a family. One day you're watching your kids take their first steps, and before you know it, they're off to college. That's why securing their future is so important. Fabric by Gerber Life makes it simple to get term life insurance that fits your family's needs. With Fabric, you can apply for term life insurance online right from your couch. You could be covered in under 10 minutes, and in many cases, no health exam is required. So peace of mind It's one thing it gives you. As a parent, I want to make sure my family's financially protected no matter what happens. Fabric gives me that peace of mind. Affordable coverage. You can get $1 million in coverage for less than $1 a day. So protecting your loved ones does not have to break the bank. And beyond life insurance is also great. Fabric also offers free digital wills and access to investment accounts to help you plan for your children's future. So join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their families. Apply today in just minutes and meet fabric.com/lockedoncollege. That's meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company. Not available in certain states. Prices are subject to underwriting and health questions. Do have the first mention of the brand, Fabric Gerber Life. All subsequent brands can be just Fabric. All right, nearing the end of the show here. It is amazing road win. Mark Byington, Coach of the Year in my mind. If he doesn't get it, it's robbed, right? And before we get into that, yes, Memorial is going to be absolutely rocking. If I'm Missouri, I'm a little bit nervous because Vandy is feeling themselves right now, and very well should be. So this is amazing news here, and there's going to be more. I'm going to break down this win even more. This is kind of just a live, raw reaction. I'm going to break down this win and kind of a way to set up the Missouri game on Memorial. So there's more to come with this basketball thing. So, so here's an interesting situation, okay? And I'm going to go a little bit over time here. But Bryce Henderson commits, okay? Let's back up a minute. South Dakota, we hired their offensive line coach, Jeff Nady, all right? And Bryce Henderson was already in the portal. He commits. No surprise there. As soon as we hired Coach Nady, Bryce Henderson, he was crystal ball to Vandy. It was just only a matter of time. He commits. Big 6'8" guy, great feet, dominant run blocker. Needs work in his pass setting and pass, his pass footwork, pass protection footwork. But that's something that he can work on. He's going to be brought in to be the strong tackle to come down and just collapse defensive lines, road great defensive ends, and really kind of contribute in the run game. And whatever he can give us in the pass game is going to be icing on the cake. That's what he adds to the offensive line room. Okay. Now, what Justin is saying is there's another guy, Joe Cotton Eye Joe, as I saw in one post. But that would be an amazing get as well. I think he comes in if Joe Cotton if they could get Joe Cotton to come in. He was the other tackle. He was the left tackle. Henderson was the right tackle. Big. I mean, you can't miss him. You go Google South Dakota football highlights, and big number 55. He's an absolute tower. He's considered, Cotton and Henderson are considered two of the top offensive linemen in all of FCS, and these guys are studs. Okay, and yeah, it's hard to project FCS to SEC because it's a whole different animal. So a stud can be a relative term in this scenario, but you see the strength, you see the footwork, you see some of the fundamental stuff, and their coach is coming with them. And so, and I know this hire wasn't made to get these guys. I think that's icing on the cake, but I don't think it was made to get these guys. But I mean, what this does to the offensive line room, if Cotton comes as the second portal tackle from South Dakota, Henderson is now on board. Henderson, I think, slots in, depending on what happens with Sandoval in the spring, which I think it'd have to be a pretty monumental rise and just absolutely far and away, like he shows that he's far and away the best guy. If he shows that he's far and away the best guy, then he will claim that starting spot, and Henderson will have an uphill battle when he comes here in the summer. But to me, I think Sandoval is still very raw, and he still is a guy that can contribute. But I think as a backup guy, as a rotational guy, as like Henderson's a little bit tired. He needs a rest this series. Sandoval go in, and he'll be able to contribute really good positive minutes. But Henderson is really good down blocking. He's got pretty good footwork in pass setting. I think he's raw as far as understanding how to set up defenders. But He's going to slot in at the strong tackle. That's my prediction. That's kind of where I'm thinking. He's going to be brought in, and I think he's going to earn that starting spot as the strong tackle. Now, Cotton, he's the real jewel. Yes, he's the real jewel. He is the one you want from that offensive line. He is the guy. He is the stud from that offensive line. Obviously, you don't play left tackle if you're not a stud. All right. He would come in. Here's what would likely happen if Joe Cotton gets. This is a scenario that I could see happening. Okay. Right now it's Isaiah Glass and Kevo Wesley as your quick side. What I could see happening, because Glass is pretty versatile in what he can do. And Glass may, with him being only 6'4", I think he may project as a guard at the next level. And I think he could get some really good film at guard. I would not be surprised if they get Cotton. This is a big if. Which I think if Cotton's going to go anywhere, I think he probably does go to Vandy, follows his position coach. I think they had a really good relationship, which is good. This guy can coach. All right. I think Cotton goes in as your quick tackle, and Glass bumps down as your quick guard. That would be a monster offensive line. Just think about that offensive line for a second. You have Jordan White, certified NFL center. Then your guards are Chase Mitchell, Isaiah Glass, who have a lot of potential. I think Mitchell has NFL potential. I think Glass has NFL potential. I don't know where that potential is going to take them as far as actual draft status, but they've got actual potential. And then you have your tackles, Henderson and Cotton, who I think Cotton can be an NFL guy. He can be a day 3 guy that could end up being a starter in the NFL, just like that. And so somebody that can really develop. These two guys are going to have a chance to really put some good film out there against a brutal schedule in the SEC, and this will be sink or swim for them. And I think with those two guys coming in, I think you're going to see Nady take a bigger role within the offensive line room. There's no restrictions now. So like he's technically the assistant offensive line coach. So I think final decisions go to Coach K, but I think you're going to see Coach K really lean on Nady for like recruiting and for a lot of things, because I think Coach K is ready to retire. And so this is going to be really, really good for them. So I'm excited with this get. I'm excited with the possibility of getting Joe Cotton from South Dakota. If you're an FCS football team and you have Dakota in your name, you're good. That's the Missouri Valley Conference is the SEC of FCS football. North Dakota State, South Dakota State, North Dakota, South Dakota, all extremely tough, viable, good football teams, right? UC Davis is really good. Weber State's usually pretty good. A lot of those Midwest and Western schools are really good in FCS. Most of the good East Coast, South teams have all moved into FBS, like James Madison and who else? Somebody else moved recently that I was surprised they were in FBS. But James Madison being the most recent one that I know about that's actually having success in FBS. So, the Dakotas are really good at football. So this is a really exciting get. This is going to be really good for Clark Lee. It's honestly really good time to be a Vandy fan. It really is. It's phenomenal. I'm enjoying seeing everything about this Vandy team. That is, this basketball team is phenomenal. They will be. I think being offensive linemen too, they're not coming from premier programs. Sometimes you can, it just depends. But guys looking to move up from FCS to SEC. Like I think you can say, hey, well, you don't have to pay them as much, but like the allure of getting real NFL caliber film out there, it's very enticing. So those guys sometimes will take a little bit less to get that quality of film, right? Like you may get offered slightly more to go to a place like, I don't know, like Washington State, right? Sure, it's Division I, FCS, whatever, but you're going to the SEC. That's where all the NFL talent is. or the Big Ten. It's very top heavy, but there's NFL talent in the Big Ten. So yes, you would take that. Kennesaw State, yes. Georgia Southern, I remember when they made the jump. Appy State as well when they made the jump. Yeah, I remember that. Kennesaw State was the school I was thinking of, Justin. I appreciate that. They were the school I was surprised they were in FBS. It just slipped my mind that they're totally in FBS now. I remember seeing them. Them and Sam Houston State were two teams. I was like, what? I thought they were still in FCS. I really was genuinely surprised by that. So, like I said, I'm gonna wrap up. I'm gonna wrap up the show. We've gone a little bit over time, but I'm gonna wrap up the show saying this: Vandy Athletics is in a really good place right now, and it's because they committed to NIL. It's because they decided that what they were doing was the definition of insanity, right? Yeah, that would be good, right? That would be really good. He would probably do it too. They've invested in a different way of doing things. They've been more aggressive. They said, you know what? We're tired of being awful. We're going to go out and get the best. Okay. And a lot of people did not see what Mark Byington brought to the table, but that was the best hire they could have made for the situation. He's been perfect for this team, for this university, and they need to give him a bag. Clark Lee reinvested, reworked some things, decided NIL to go full in. He made some great hires. He's really turned it around as well. He's got this thing on a roll. Tim Corbin decided to hit the transfer portal. Most transfer players that Vandy's ever had in baseball, they're rolling now. They've got an ace in Cody Bowker. So the three major sports teams, women's basketball with Michaela Blakes, they're going to be held in the tournament. I don't know what kind of run they're going to make, but it's going to be fun too. It's going to be exciting. So this is going to be a fun ride. So if you're a Vandy fan and you've been one of those grumpy Vandy fans that's been, like the dude in Major League where you have your hat inside out and you're questioning everything and you say everything sucks, enjoy this ride, okay? Because you don't know how long it's going to last. You're not guaranteed to be good for forever. And eventually you're going to come back down. Eventually Georgia's going to come back down. Alabama is going to come back down. Ohio State's going to come back down a little bit. It's going to be all cyclical. So just enjoy the ride. Just enjoy it while you can. So, Justin, yeah, I grew up in Fayetteville. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but yeah, it's I'm sure it's fun to have FBS football right in your backyard. So that's all I got. Anchor down. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for making the chat what it is. Continue this thing offline. Pass this episode around. Tell your friends. Jump on board. Locked on Vandy. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. And we'll see you back here next time. Anchor down. Peace out. Go Doors.